Are you feeling stuck in your life right now? There's something that you desperately need to change or want to change or need to change. It could be job, career, money, health, relationships, whatever, or even changing your whole life. But you're stuck. You feel like you're stuck in a mire and you just can't get going. Well, let me tell you something. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not too old. Everybody goes through this because it's our brain doing what it's designed to do. And actually, that's the problem, which is to protect you and to survive, which means it's resisting change, even if it's something you want and need. So in this video, I'm going to give you the knowledge and the methods to overcome that mental resistance that we have and literally reprogram and rewire your brain to end the resistance and instead enable and collaborate and facilitate you moving forward, identifying what you need and want and how you're going to do it, and then doing it. This effort that you put into it that starts with this video could literally change and save your future. Want to know more? Stand by.
Helping you find your new way forward to the best years of your life. This is a New Way Forward podcast with Paul Long.
So why do we get stuck? Now, this is important. I'll keep it short, but I mean, if you're going to solve a problem or a challenge, you've got to understand why you're having trouble with it or why it's difficult. Well, the fact of the matter is that your brain is wired to keep you stuck because your brain is wired for safety and not fulfillment. First of all, you got to consider the fact of our brains and how it's evolved and adapted over 200,000 years of Homo sapiens. And if you believe in evolution, even longer than that. In modern day civilization is only a few hundred years old. Civilization is, in terms of communities and things of that sort, are only a few thousand years old. Our brains were wired to keep us alive and to procreate, period. Therefore, it wanted to maintain the status quo of protection and food and procreating, the fun part. And so even if it's something that you don't like and you don't want, if you've been doing it for months, years, or your whole life, that is a known commodity to your brain and it wants to maintain it. If you want to do something different or make a change in your life, even though you desperately want it, you've identified it, you're excited about it, like a kid at Christmas opening up a present, your brain is going to resist it. It's going to view it as a threat. Some interesting research, two psychology researchers, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, said that the psychological pain of losing something, even something you want to lose, is twice as powerful as gaining or achieving something that you really want. And the fact of the matter is that change activates your amygdala in your brain, which is your safety center, your defense center. It's also known as your fear center. So it will actually cause you to fear that change even though that you want it. So you see what you're up against when you want to change a career or a job or relationship or your life situation. Your brain screams at you not to do it even though you want to do it. And then you got to get around it. All right, here's the second point. Status quo bias keeps you on autopilot. So you already see how you're kind of on autopilot, that if you really don't work it, you really don't think about it, you're just going to want to maintain an even strain, or you're just not going to want to deal with it. Short-term pleasure for long-term pain, short-term pain for long-time pleasure or fulfillment. But the other thing is when you're stressed. And very often when we're needing or wanting to make this change, we're under stress. And that's when the brain really steps back and says, just don't do anything. And you've undoubtedly, Lord knows I have, been in situations where you needed to make that change, you needed to adapt or whatever, and you just really didn't want to, and you felt all of that resistance, which we all have. Resistance is insidious. That's what we're talking about here. And you thought, maybe I don't have to do anything about it. And you get this emotional sense of relief, right? Well, that's the brain doing the job. And that's when that happens, you've got to notice it to overcome it. All right, a third point, identity inertia. It's also referred to as the hidden trap. So this is what it is. Who are you? How do you perceive yourself? I mean, deep down inside and in all ways, shapes, and forms. In other words, your personal identity. It's how we view ourselves. And this is also where false beliefs about ourselves that very often came up in childhood really hold us back from what we wanted. You know, it's things like the imposter syndrome, or you're not good enough, or you'll never amount to anything. Those types of things that very often come from childhood and our parents, either directly or by observation. And so, just like with the other things I've been talking about, our brain is wired to not change those things, even though those are the very things that we need to change in order to have the life that we want. And that's a little bit harder, but in a moment I'll get to the steps to do that. So the bottom line takeaway I want to give you here is that uh, odds are you're not lazy, you're not messed up, you're not a wasted pile of human protoplasm. It's your brain and the way that it's wired. And so now let's look at some ways to get past that so you can move on to the change that you need and want. So here's my 3-step framework to reprogram and rewire your brain to get unstuck. So number 1 is disrupt the default brain, because you can't change a pattern you don't even notice is running. Yeah, right now your brain is kind of running your life, and it's actually driving your decisions. And it's doing that to keep you safe, but it's also therefore keeping you stuck. And so step 1 is actually knowing it, what you're doing now, and then seeing it and noticing it when it happens. It's bringing awareness to it, but it's also bringing awareness to the consequences if you don't make the change that you need to make. So here are 3 things that you can do. Number 1 is called the 10-year test. And put simply, ask yourself and be brutally honest. If I don't do this change that I need, what will my life be like? In 10 years, 5 years, a year, whatever's appropriate for you. What will my life be like if I don't do it? What will the consequences be? And by the way, ideally, with all of this stuff, write it down. Take notes in a journal, in a spiral bound notebook, whatever, because that not only helps imbue it and program it into your brain, but you're going to want to refer back to it. All right, here's the next thing, the environmental shift. So pay attention to people who have a different status quo brain than you do, or better yet, have made changes in their lives. And these can be notable people. I have learned so much from people who changed their status quo brain. How did they succeed? What did they overcome? And how did they do that? And when it's someone that you know or you're connected with, get them on the phone. Take them out for a cup of coffee and ask them, how did they do it and why they believe they were able to do it. And here's the third thing, and this is big. Shift your fear into an asset. Yeah, that's right. There's fear attached to it. I've already described how brain instills that fear in us, but there are other kind of fears that are legitimate, like what if I fail? What if I look stupid? Fear of the unknown. I'm not really sure what to do or how to do it. Those are natural fears that every human being goes through, and I find that enabling and comforting. I mean, I don't care whether it's Steve Jobs or Napoleon Bonaparte or a billion other people that you've never heard of. There's always been that fear. But knowing that is a really big thing. The biggest thing I learned was the ultimate FOMO, fear of missing out. Fear of missing out on having the life that you want, which leads to the next point in this, which was regret, and how I came to fear regret. Because when I was making my life change, when I kind of got stuck and I didn't want to do it anymore, and then I say, well, you're going to regret it if you don't. And then I thought, hey, I wonder what most people like on their deathbeds regret about their life. And I was amazed that there were multiple surveys, and the number one was always the same. They regretted that they didn't live the life that was right for them, that they never went for it. And I actually envisioned me being on my deathbed feeling that way. It was not pleasant, but it only lasted 5 minutes. And so that ultimate FOMO, fear of missing out, is a major driver and motivator for me to overcome the obstacles and challenges I faced in making a transformation, not just a change in my life. So I'm glad you're still watching because upcoming are some more critical steps that a lot of people miss that are critical to success. Without them, some people fall short or just outright fail. So let's get back to it. Step number 2, decide who you want to be. Because you don't change your life by changing your actions. You change your life by changing your identity. And then your actions will follow naturally. So what's your self-identity? Or better yet, what do you want and need your self-identity to be with the change that you're making and to enable that change that you're making? So a lot of studies have shown that your self-narrative, your self-identity is the driver for who you really are. And a lot of times it's confirmation for the way that you don't want to be. So, if you see yourself as an unhealthy person who doesn't have the discipline to get healthier, you're going to stay that way. Your brain's going to go, okay, that's the way you want it. But even if you're not there yet, you change that self-identity into, I am a healthy person and I am taking the steps to a better health. And by the way, one of the actions that I'm going to share with you in a moment, then that's what it becomes. I came up with a moniker for myself. And I'm not going to share what it is. It's personal. It's personal. But that's my trigger that I'm capable of succeeding. I'm capable of overcoming. I'm capable of achieving what I want to do. So self-identity and changing that self-identity to therefore drive the actions that you need is absolutely critical. So here are a few things that you can do. Number 1 is to identify that new self-identity. Yeah, in the first place, try just writing it in a sentence. But you can also write a longer description. And here again, hopefully you got a notebook going because I kind of revisited that every day for, I don't know, several weeks. I did it to keep reading it and to, infuse it in my brain, but I also kept modifying it. And I started my narrative and a description almost like a story. And it made all the difference in the world to leading to my success and the new way forward that I picked. All right, here's another one. Prove it. And prove it with small steps. I got another technique that I'll get to you in step 3. But by taking little actions in that positive self-identity direction, and the biggest thing is acknowledging it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Go like this. Go, yeah. Some little motion that you're acknowledging to yourself that you made a positive step in that direction reinforces and proves to that brain of yours, this is where we're going, so get on board. And last but not least, while I was going through my change and this self-identity situation, besides coming up with my moniker, I also came up with this concept that has proven to be very popular, and that is writing a thank you note from your future self to your current self. Now, I chose the age 95. You choose whatever you want and is appropriate for you. But it was, what would my 95-year-old self thank me for doing now to give us the life in the intervening time that we love? And what did that life look like? You can't get into specifics, but in general. And what that's doing is that, it's even more than a self-identity thing. It's helping you envision what it is that you want. And it's helped imbuing it in your brain. In fact, it's actually tied to the power of attention law attraction neurologically to give you what you want. Step 3, build momentum and achieve success through micro actions. Yeah, especially some big change or big aspiration, it can be daunting. Oh my gosh, I'm here, I want to get there. Don't think of it that way. Think about it as what's the next step? Baby steps. What's the next step? As James Clear, Atomic Habits, very famous and useful books, gave me the inspiration to focus on the next 1% of what I need to do. And by the way, also too, he says, every time you do it, congratulate yourself. Consider it a vote for yourself and your future. And so going back to that unhealthy time, and I woke up feeling like crap one day, and I said, I got to do something, but I felt daunted and overwhelmed by what it would take. And then I said, well, what's one little baby step that I can take today? And so I figured something out. It's like I'm going to get up and I read how we lose 14 ounces of liquid in our bodies when we sleep. I'm going to jug 14 ounces of water. Whoa, that felt great. I felt my brain improve immediately. And then I'm like, I need to keep doing this. And so for months and months, I did one new thing that I had never done before. But here was the cool part. Some of these little baby steps I was still doing. And all of a sudden I start feeling better. And I start feeling better about myself. And I start seeing and feeling the results. And then I really got into it. And I started researching it and studying it. And now where I am in vastly better health than I was 20 years ago at my age. My biohealth is about 25 years younger than the average for people my age. And I just took those baby steps. So what I want to give you, the no cost, is a PDF of 101 healthy baby steps that you can choose from and do one each day, and to give you ideas, and then you can come up with your own list. So there's a link down below or in the description where you can download it for free. Any great achievement, walking on the moon, was a series of baby steps. And that's the way it is within your life. And it will reprogram your brain and the status quo for you to achieve what you need and want. Part 3, discover your direction. Okay, so great. If you've been doing what I've been sharing with you, you've opened up your brain to not block you from doing a change and to not only enable you, but support you in that change. But to what? Because here's a major failing that a lot of us have. I've done this, I've failed this way, where we assume we want this. Or generally speaking, we've got a general notion that I want to change, I need something different, I need something that's like this, but not specific. And one of the failures is that we skip a step and go, okay, I got to figure out what it is I want to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this kind of job. I'm going to pursue this kind of career. I want this kind of relationship, whatever. And we lack the awareness that we need to make that choice, which is also part of programming the brain. Because when we gain the awareness, we have the rationale that our brain accepts. And we accept, and it makes it the right decision. So what I mean by awareness is, first of all, internal awareness. Really identifying in as much specificity as possible what is it I need and want and desire and don't want within myself. And not just maybe, more money, but still looking at the impact of my whole life and how I want my life to look and feel like because of that money, or what I want the money for instance. And then it's external awareness. It's like, if I'm kind of thinking about doing this, how much work and effort have I put in to seeing what that really is? I mean, for instance, when I started out, I was like, okay, I'm getting older, so let's look into this retirement thing. It was the complete opposite of what I knew at that time. I lacked up-to-date awareness on it because I saw all these people suffering because of lack of purpose, relevance, and all of that. And then I'm like, okay, well, what are other people doing? Oh, holy cow. A lot of people who, for instance, couldn't afford to retire. They had to find something that worked for them to bring in income, but it fit their life. And they said it's the best thing that ever happened to them because they designed their life. So this isn't just another video. This is a whole series of videos. And again, in the description or down below, I'll give you a lot to look at. The 3 A's, which is, first of all, attitude, then awareness, and then action. Or avoiding the default life by designing your life. It's a method using the letters in the word design to help you do that. That's part of programming your brain, because your brain's going to say, hey, Paul, I'm with you. This makes sense. You've thought this through. And then when I started envisioning what it would look like, feel like, and taste like, I get those results. So now you have the power. First of all, you understand that it's not you. The blame, so to speak, is placed where it belongs. It's in your brain, and it's just doing its job. but now you know how to reprogram it. Now you have the awareness of why and how it works, and you've got the techniques to update it in a way that it changes the status quo to what it needs to be for you to, first of all, seek and achieve and then attain and then live with the change that you want and need. There are a lot of people that you know directly and indirectly who have undergone these big changes, even transformations, that didn't know all this stuff. You're ahead of them. It's possible, and do it. What I challenge you to do is that before you go to bed tonight, ideally after this video, you do one of these steps right away. Write that self-identity down and start that process. Do that one baby step health change and start acknowledging the positive things that you do. On and on and on. Start doing it just like I did with the 10,000 baby steps for health. And you will get where you want and need to go. And your brain will consider that the status quo and help you.
Learn more ways to enhance your life and discover a new way forward that's perfect for you by watching these videos or any others on my channel. Oh, and be sure to subscribe.